Alrighty, guys, we're going to add more to our notes, more about factoring. And we are going to be specifically factoring trinomials. Now, we did talk about trinomials last time where I was looking for the GCF, and that is still important. But sometimes, if they don't have a GCF, I might still be able to factor them in this really interesting way that maybe you will remember from the past couple of weeks. Now, we are going to be doing this on 99 and 100, and it's like one of my favorite things, so I'm so glad it's on page 100. Now, for today, we are only going to do page 100, I think, and then tomorrow we will do page 99. Yep. So we're going to be looking first at when my A value is 1, which maybe we don't know what that means yet, and that's okay. And then tomorrow we'll look at something different. Alrighty, so if we turn that page, you'll notice like I have A, B, C like this, and this one does not have an A. That's when A is 1. So we're starting on page 100. All right, so when I am factoring something, hold on. Oh my gosh, I have to think. I want a yellow highlighter. Where is my yellow highlighter? Oh my word. If I don't find it, I'm going to be so bummed out. Oh my gosh, I don't know where it went. Oh my gosh. Poop. I'll use my yellow pen. Okay, sorry. Okay. I should have these things prepared before I start this video. Okay. So when we are factoring something that is a trinomial, we are looking for our A, B, and C value. Now in this case, A is 1, and so that's why I didn't put it. But then B is on my X term, and C is all by itself. Okay, so we have B on X. We do want to consider the sign in front of it. And then we have C all by itself. If we write it in standard form, it should be the middle number and the last number. If I'm going to factor something like that and they don't have anything in common, they don't have any GCF, then you're going to set up an X puzzle like we've been doing the past few weeks, where I'm thinking about what multiplies to the top number and at the same time adds to the bottom number. So the number that I put on the top is C, and the number that I put on bottom is B. Okay, so again, I'm thinking what multiplies to C and adds to B. Whatever I get, I always put in the sides. So I'll just call them some random letters for right now, like M and P. And when I write this out, you're always going to write it the same way. So you'll put M in one set of parentheses with an X, and you'll put P in another set of parentheses with an X. And the reason that this works is because when I multiply these out, I have to do FOIL. And so I'll have P plus M to get me the middle term, and M times P gets me this last term. So like I'll do one with numbers because it's kind of weird with letters, but I do want to make a couple of notes here. Firstly, if I can't think of what multiplies to C, make a list. And then check it twice to see which ones will add. So make a list of factors. Check which add to B. All right, so we're going to try that out. Looking here, I'm going to make my little X, and I just put it on the last number. So it multiplies to 12, adds to 7. So the only thing I'm thinking about at first is what multiplies to 12. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Then I go through and I pick only the set that also adds to 7, which is 3 and 4. And so when I write out my answer, I'll always have x and then plus 3 and then x plus 4. And again, the reason that this works out is because now when I were to multiply this back, I do x times x for x squared, 4x, 3x for 7x, and 3 times 4 for 12. So it's exactly the opposite of when we were FOILing and multiplying our binomials before. So we're undoing that process. All right, on to the next. I'm thinking 1 multiplies to negative 12 and adds to 4. So same numbers still multiply to 12, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. But now one of them needs to be negative. Since my answer is positive, it has to be one of the smaller ones. And so now when I'm adding, I'm kind of really subtracting. Like 12 and negative 1, that's 11. 6 and negative 2, that's 4. And 4 and negative 3, that's 1. And since I wanted 4, these are my numbers. So negative 2 and 6. Now, guys, when you write out your parentheses, it doesn't really matter the order that you put them in at all. So like x minus 2, x plus 6, or if you have it the other way around, that's okay too. But you can't switch up where the negative goes. The negative or the subtraction sign has to be with the 2. Last but not least, 1 multiplies to 12 and adds to negative 13. So same numbers still multiply to 12. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. But what's curious here is that my addition or my sum is a negative number, but this is a positive number. So that means both of these have to be negative because it has to multiply to a positive, but then add to a negative. So if I go through and add these all up, the ones that get me negative 13 are negative 1 and negative 12. So we'll have x minus 1, x minus 12. Now we just got a bunch to try. Don't you love that we did this puzzle for weeks? Because like we're already thinking about it this way. So guys, what I would suggest, I am going to go across the rows here. Stay with me in this video for as long as you need. Or, you know, once you get to the end of the row, maybe pause it and then try the next row and then come back and check and see how you did. Because the same process every time. When I look at this one here, I'm thinking 1 multiplies to 1 and adds to 2. That's 1 and 1. So x plus 1, x plus 1. Or, since they're the same, you could really write it as x plus 1 squared. On the next one, I'm thinking 1 multiplies to 10 and adds to 7. That's 5 and 2. Now, I hate to say it, but like, I'm going to be pretty fast at these. And the reason that I'm fast at them is because I'm really good at multiplication. I've been multiplying for 30-some years. You haven't been multiplying for as long as me. So it might take you a little bit longer, and that's okay. But the thing that makes us really good at this is that we're good at multiplication. If I know the numbers that will multiply up to 36, then it shouldn't be too hard to also find the ones that will add to 13. And I think I want 9 and 4, because 9 times 4 is 36, and 9 plus 4 is 13. So I'll have x plus 9, x plus 4. And again, it doesn't matter the order that you write those in. Lastly, we're thinking 1 multiplies to 18 and adds to 9. And it's super tempting to be like, well, 9 and 2, but that's not going to get you 9. I think 6 and 3 is what you need there, because 6 plus 3 is 9. And there's only one answer that is right every single time. There aren't multiple options. All right, on to the next. So I'm thinking 1 multiplies to negative 18 and adds to 3. Now, if it multiplies to a negative number, one of them, only one, can be negative. If it adds then to a positive, the smaller one needs to be negative. So So I think what I want here is 6 and negative 3. That'll multiply to negative 18 and add to 3. So x plus 6, x minus 3. On this one, what multiplies to negative 20 and adds to 1? If I don't see a number on an x, then it's 1. Now, when your number is real small, you want your numbers real close together. So like the numbers that I'm picking here should be numbers that are very close together. So 4 and 5. And I need the 4 to be negative to get a positive 1. So we'll have x minus 4, x plus 5. Moving right along, what multiplies to negative 16 and adds to 6? 8 and 2. And I need for the 2 to be negative so that they multiply to a negative and add to a positive 6. So x plus 8, x minus 2. Last one in this row, 1 multiplies to negative 21 and adds to 4. Really the only thing that multiplies to 21 aside from 1 and 21 is 7 and 3. And I need for the 3 to be negative to get a positive 4. So x plus 7, x minus 3. Alrighty, moving right along. When I multiply to 4 and add to 4, that's 2 and 2. Oh, and since they're the same, I could put x plus 2 squared. So that's fine. Or x plus 2, x plus 2. Multiplies to negative 13 and adds to 12. Now, if these numbers are very close together, then that means that your numbers, your mystery numbers, are very far away from each other. So I think what I want here is 13 and 1. We'll multiply to 13, but I need the 1 to be negative to get a positive 12. So x plus 13, x minus 1. Well, multiplies to 24 and adds to negative 14. Now, if you multiply to a positive, but you add to a negative, then that means both of these need to be negative so that they multiply to a positive and add to a negative. And then to get 14, I think I want 2 and 12. Yep. So x minus 2, x minus 12. 1 multiplies to 2 and adds to negative 3. That's going to be negative 2 and negative 1 multiplies to a positive 2, adds to a negative 3. One multiplies to 1 and adds to negative 2. Now that's kind of like that first one that we did, but I think I need them both to be negative ones now. So x minus 1 squared, or x minus 1, x minus 1. On the next one, what multiplies to 10 and adds to negative 15? So, because it multiplies to a positive, adds to a negative, these both need to be negative. The only things that multiply to 10 are 10 and 1. That's going to give me 11. Or 2 and 5, but that only gets me 7. And so it could happen that none of them, like none of the factors of 10 will add up to the bottom number. So we say that that is not factorable, or you can call that prime. Because if I'm not able to split something up, then that is a prime number. So either one of those answers is fine. That is sneaky stuff. On to the next. What multiplies to 36 and adds to negative 20? Negative 2 and negative 18. We'll multiply to a positive 36, adds to a negative 20. So x minus 2, x minus 18. What multiplies to 24 and adds to negative 10? So they both need to be negative. 6 and 4. Yeah, x minus 6, x minus 4, because they will multiply to a positive 24 and add to a negative 10. On to the next row. What multiplies to negative 22 and adds to negative 9? So 22 is kind of nice because really the only things that can get you there are 2 and 11. And if I make the 11 negative, I'll multiply to a negative, and I will add to that negative 9 that I need. So x minus 11, x plus 2. What multiplies to 14 and adds to negative 15? So if that happens, if it's 1 more than what you have, it's always 1 in that number. So 1 and 14, both negative to get a positive and to add up to a negative. So x minus 1, x minus 14. What multiplies to negative 15 and adds to negative 2? 5 and 3. 5 needs to be negative to get a negative overall and to get that negative 2. So x minus 5, x plus 3. Well, it multiplies to a negative 5 and adds to a negative 4. So kind of the opposite of this one. If it's 1 away, either above or below, it's got to be 1 in the number, I think. Oh, maybe it's not, it's got to be, but maybe it could be. But only thing that multiplies to 5 is 1 in 5. And if I make the 5 negative, I'll get a negative 4. So x plus 1, x minus 5. I just thought of an example of where that doesn't always happen, like with a 6. So just be careful. Kind of right here. Although what multiplies to 6 and adds to 7, that is 6 and 1. So x plus 6, x plus 1. But like if you get 6 and then a 5 in between, like you might think that that's 6 and 1, but not necessarily, because 6 is also 2 and 3, and 2 and 3 is 5. So that's why that can be a little bit tricky. What multiplies to 24 and adds to 10? Oh, we have this one before, but now I think they both need to be positive. So 6 and 4. Both positive to get you a positive overall. Oh yeah, right here, these are the same. Although, because I want a negative 7 now, I'll just make the negative 1 and negative 6, or the 1 and 6 both negative. So x minus 1, x minus 6. We'll multiply to a positive, add to a negative. And then lastly, what multiplies to 15 and adds to 9? So the only thing that multiply to 15 are 1 and 15. And I can either get 16 out of that or 14 out of that, positive or negative, or 3 and 5. But with a 3 and a 5, I can only get 8 or 2. So I think that's another one that's not factorable, aka prime. So lots and lots of fun examples, guys. Hopefully we're getting the hang of it, but we will practice it more tomorrow.